Alright guys, now I am going to find a place that I can actually record this video. Whew, first time actually riding a boosted board well. Actually second time. The first time didn't really go too well, but I feel like so many people are gonna watch me. I'm planning on, I know there's a park actually around here which I think I can record a video. The wind is a little bit too much. I don't know if you guys can tell, but I feel so awkward right now, like everyone is watching me, but okay. Where is the sunset? Here it is, and so now I'm gonna record the intro, which actually I haven't done it for a pretty long time. And for that, I brought my drone with me, but it doesn't really have tons of batteries, so I gotta do it as fast as possible. Because last time when I fly this guy, I didn't recharge it, so I only have a little bit of, about like half of them. So I think it's enough for me to record the sunsets. This wasn't planned. They were planned on like come here during the golden hour. This is actually not even the golden hour anymore. It says maximum flight altitude reach, which I have no idea why. It says maximum altitude is good enough. Let me try it again. Nice, I got it. Alright, now I can just tap fly and record this own thing, I guess, ascending. Alright, I am on the maximum. Alright, so today's video, so basically I'm gonna test it out. Even though today kind of like our technology is so advanced, and I don't know, this camera over here I'm recording on, which is a EOS R with Rode Video Mic Go, and the Gorilla Pod can really replace by something like this guy, not the drone, the iPhone. Yeah, so I'm gonna set it up on both exactly the same setting to match the focal length on a little bit tighter on the iPhone's ability to shoot. I'm gonna basically use the zoom lens on here about this 24mm range, basically gonna be tighter on iPhone also, and I'm gonna enable the Smart HDR on the iPhone, and you'll also use the 60 frame and the Smart HDR switching around, see if they can make a huge difference out of here. And compared to this guy is which also the dynamic range captured by sensor. Just got it back. That's all. And I also gonna try something is that, you know, all these days, like right now, all the people says, oh, lock in the exposure if you want to get the cinematic images. You gotta lock the exposure. Which my personally right now, if I'm filming on, except time lapses, I never really locked my exposure. So which I wanna actually kind of like test it out. Like, do you actually need to lock the exposure? Which for me, I think vlog is not something cinematic. Like, you don't need to be so cinematic to record a vlog. That's why I never do lock the exposure. And we're gonna see how much better if you lock the exposure. Just walking around, filming random stuff. So let's start right now. Both camera matches the frame actually pretty well right now. If you guys can see, this one is the USR, and right now I'm talking to the iPhone also. So right now is the audio coming out of the USR with the external microphone on top, and right now is the iPhone's internal mic. I can tell which one is better. Both recording 4K 60, both on full auto. Right now is kind of a little bit low light, and yeah, that's how the image looks right now, just walking around with no image stabilization. I think on iPhone has image stabilization, but on the USR there's no any sort of image stabilization. You guys can see the depth of field from this. And now I'm gonna record 30 frames per second on iPhone or 24, depends. So it's gonna enable that smart HDR or extended dynamic range. Alright, now, so I'm gonna hop into the camera menu. Is that called menu? I'm gonna hop into the camera app, and here it says 4K 30 or 24. They both gonna give you focus on here. Alright, they both gonna give you what is called extended dynamic range, basically using software to, instead of so when I record 4K 30, it actually records in 4K 60, then it merged 2 pixels into 1, and kind of creating that like 2 pixels, one exposing the background, one exposing the front on me, or where I usually put an exposure on, and merging two together. So it gave me that more dynamic range. But it's software versus, it's like a tiny bit sensor, like a super smart software, versus this really massive powerful sensor, and captured the dynamic range direct to the sensor. So let's see the difference. And now I am in 4K 20, what's it called? 4K 30 FPS. Alright. Now guys, if you look at from the iPhone right now, I am recording in 4K 30 frames per second on the iPhone, and this one is the USR. If you guys can see the camera, this is a massive setup. On the other hand, this is what I'm recording at. Oh yeah, this is what I'm recording at. This is so small, and because I'm using a front-facing camera, so you don't really need that flip-out screen, and you can still see yourself through both camera or whatever. The frame matches pretty well, I guess. So right now you guys can see the dynamic range. I think on iPhone it's a little bit underexposed, or it just doesn't really trying to, because it's kind of low light out here, so it doesn't really trying to boost the ISO up. But on the USR, the camera is like, no problem, I can boost the ISO up all the way to like 12,800 without having a single noise, which is cool. And the beauty of this camera is I can boom, then it's way much better of a vlogging angle considered to iPhone is so tight, which I think it makes the person doesn't look as good. One of the problem with iPhone is that the front-facing camera, which this one I can see myself through, is not as good as the back camera, which it records in 4K 60. This front-facing camera only recording 1080p. This camera also recording 1080p, but this is two different level of 1080p. So now I'm gonna try to switch on the back camera on the USR and see how big, not on the USR, switch to a back camera on the iPhone XS, and let's see how much more dynamic range or how much more it's gonna give me the image. But I can't see myself, especially this is not even a wide angle, so I just trying to expecting this thing gonna include my face into the frame. Alright, I can see what this camera recording at, but I know I hope I'm in the frame, in the focus, and that this is gonna give you the best quality out of this XS Max. So yeah, this is like last generation, but compared to the 11, I think the 11's aperture is still is a little bit better. The low light also better. It's still bad, but it's a little bit better, including third lens, versus the 4K 60 extended dynamic range itself right now is 4K 30, which for a lot of people there's no problem because they're recording in 4K 24. They just like the 24 look. But I assume it's gonna be a little bit better on the iPhone. So if you guys are trying to maximize this camera's ability to shoot in dynamic range, I can switch it to C-Log. which I kind of want to look at what it looks like. So right now I'm gonna switch it to C-Log. Alright, I did not expect this. I generally did not expect this. So I switched in C-Log. The problem with C-Log, I don't use it as much. It's not because of the color grading. It's just because I don't like C-Log is when you switch it to C-Log, you can only use menu control, full menu, which is another topic of this video is, do you really need to use full menu? Which for a lot of people, they like to shoot in 24, they like to shoot in full menu. Even on this iPhone, they shoot in full menu, which that's the part I don't understand, and they don't use the extended dynamic range. But when I just switch it to full menu, I just adjust the exposure because here is super low light. It's not super low light, but there's no lighting here and the sun is already set. So I thought it's getting cold out here also. I thought this is gonna be really bad because you know, cold, no lights and stuff. But like when I pump into ISO, I try to pump the ISO pop really high. I thought it's at least like 5,000 or 8,000, even higher maybe. But when I pop the ISO pop, the EOS R with the f2.8 lens right here I have with 60 of the shutter speed, there are only 1600 ISO on here. So it's super clean image if you don't know what that means. But 1600 ISO on iPhone, it's not gonna be too good. So anything above 1000 on iPhone is just pretty bad. And yeah, now we're using the menu control on the EOS R, and this way, the other hand, this is the full auto width at one software with Smart HDR. And right now, let's see this way. I'm gonna use the front-facing camera, just you know. All right, guys. So you guys see it on the iPhone side. You can see on the other hand, on the EOS R, this frame back there is all white. On the iPhone, it's a little bit, you can maintain the orange. You can see the orange a little bit. You can also see that digital stabilization kick in, but my hands is super jiggery because I just drink coffee and it start getting low light, it doesn't look good. The motion blur start looking pretty crappy, but on the other hand, this one, I record in C-Log, give me that dynamic range. 60 frame also, and super clean image. Because it's heavy, so it kind of doesn't really need the digital image stabilization, but I can always add it if I want, but it's punching a little bit, which I don't want to sacrifice that a little bit extra room I got from this wide angle lens. So this is how it looks like. Right now, if I vlog this Bose camera right here, we're gonna change the lighting a little bit, backlight, and we're gonna backlight, and this way, you can see that both up and down. Alright, so you can see on both camera the lighting change a slight bit, but on iPhone, especially when I do this, it's just the exposure, but this guy doesn't. So it depends. My personally, I will still vlogging while using the auto exposure, but on this one, I mean on iPhone you don't need to, because alright, for conclusion is this camera is 100% a smart camera. It's designed for a smart camera. It's not designed as this camera with a powerful sensor, C-Log, menu control designed for filmmaking, or at least entry-level filmmaking, whatever. So this camera is a smart camera. It has advanced software, it has proper exposure, and it's a phone. It's literally just, you take your phone out, you point at something, the computer in the phone adjusts itself, like those micro adjustments, and it gave you a better feel. I mean, it gives you the better image right out of the phone, and the file size is super small. This, on the other hand, it gives you that massive file sizes with C-Log and give you that information you can do in post-production. This one is just designed to give you the best result out of the phone. So for me, I will still use this camera as it's designed to do, like smart camera. I'm not gonna use all these, you know, like Moment app or Filmic Pro. I'm not saying they're bad. If one day I need to use phone to shoot some, like if I have to, I don't have choice for it. If I need to use the phone to shoot some kind of like those short film or cinematic images, I will still lock the exposure from proper lens, a gimbal, and all these things I can match to do. But right now, for now, vlog, this is enough. So for conclusion is, I am gonna still shooting in, oh, my hands. So for conclusion is I am still gonna shoot in full auto and doing menu full auto on the EOS R and also on the I am still gonna shoot full auto on the EOS R, and if I'm shooting on the iPhone, I will. Oh yeah, I will still also trying to vlog on the EOS R as much as possible if I have this camera. But when I don't have this camera, like when I have no choices, I will use the iPhone for sometimes. If I really need to, because vlog is all about capturing stuff. If you can't capture stuff, there's really no point of doing it. It takes me about a year to figure out this one. So now I'm gonna go home. This camera is so heavy, but thanks to this Gorilla Pod, I can put my arm resting on my shoulder, but a little bit punching. So ooh. So I am still on C-Lock with full menu control. The exposure I adjusted earlier, which right now if the exposure changes, I can tell one thing. So you guys will tell me that if you guys want to use the proper exposure. Oh, I want to switch hands. Oh god. Oh my god, my hands just get destroyed. Oh shoot. Okay, there's a car. I love the vlogging on the boosted board. It feels so nice. Oh shit.